so now we're going to understand this concept called CRUD. CRUD is really simple. It stands for create, retrieve, update, and delete. So what this means is actions into the database. Retrieve often is list as well as search. So it's kind of like getting some data. In fact, the HTTP methods, which we'll talk about in a moment, are pretty similar to this in the way that they're named. So we'll talk about all these things in just a moment. But the main thing here is CRUD handles database-related actions. So when you create a new user, that's part of CRUD. When you retrieve that user's information, also part of CRUD. When you update any particular user, CRUD. When you delete anything, CRUD. Now, this is true for users as it is true for products. I mean, this is a fundamental idea or concept behind web applications, and more specifically, web applications that work with a database. That's really how it applies to us, at least. So in order for us to see this before actually starting to build our own way of interacting with the database, let's actually take a look at CRUD in real time by going into our server. So we're gonna go python manage.py run server, and we're actually gonna go into the admin. Okay, and inside of this admin, assuming that you've already logged in, if you haven't logged in, then go ahead and log in, or you can create a new super user if you need to. If you forgot how to do that, that is how you do it right there. Create super user. That will allow you to create a new user to actually log into the admin and see this stuff. So if I click on users, I can see that I have a few different users here. Some of them were registered when I actually, did some of the things in the last section. Now, what am I seeing here? Like, how does this exactly relate to CRUD? Well, as soon as I clicked on that link user, it did a GET call to the backend. We can actually see this in our terminal. See how it says GET? All these GETs are related to looking up some stuff. In this case, it's actually right here that we're concerned about, and that is getting user data. It's also showing us this URL here. It's actually getting this URL, and in that URL, it does a GET call. It's not actually doing the GET call. This is not showing the lookup in the database, is what I'm saying. All it's showing is it's going to this one particular URL that has a list of items that are coming from the database. So that is retrieve. So it listed out some of these items. And notice there's a search function. So if I search CFE, the URL changes. The data didn't change. So let's do CFE2. And now the data changed, showing us results. And it's actually done a search. So back into that retrieve, it's doing CRUD. Right? It's actually doing those things out. Now, another thing you might notice about this is it's actually a list of items, right? So it's not one single item. It's a list of items. That is another portion of CRUD. If I click on Add User, this is a create view. This is where we're actually going to be able to create a user. Again, some more CRUD. If I click on any particular user itself, this is where I can update. And I can say, Justin Mitchell, that's me. And I can actually save it. And there we go. We just updated it. Okay, so notice that if you look in here, the methods are slightly different. So these are the HTTP methods. And notice that when I did update it, I don't see anything called put. I see a post method, but I don't see anything called put. And that is where sometimes you might see something for post, even with updating. This is going to make, all of this stuff's going to make a lot more sense once we actually start building our own products. But the main thing here is understanding that these methods are true everywhere. So there's a delete method, you can delete it. And when I say true everywhere, I mean, if you go to Twitter, we can actually break it down on Twitter too, right? So this is a different series that we made this app for. But a tweet, if I said, hey there, this tweet, when I click on this is doing what exactly? Well, it's creating it. I can click tweet, and what do you know? It actually created that method. And this right here is a list of items, right? It already actually listed things out. It already retrieved something. Like here's Conan O'Brien. If I click on this, it's retrieving it. So it's getting that information from the database. Now, with updating inside of here, I would go into my app, into profiles, and then I would say edit profile, and I'll just say website is joincfe.com. Sweet. And then I hit save changes. I just updated that profile, right? And then finally, I could actually delete this. I'm not going to delete it, but I could delete this account, or I could delete this tweet, right? So I could go to delete tweet and delete. That is CRUD. That's what CRUD does. That's how it works. It works on every web application. It's important to understand that basic concept to, well, start thinking in these terms. So we just talked about this concept because of, well, when we create our own models or our own way to do CRUD, we have to think about this all the time. We have to think about how we're going to handle CRUD so the user does things that they're very used to. And that's what we'll start to do in the next one.